So early on in my remarks, I'm going to refer to the World Wide Web. So that is perhaps, should I use this or not? Okay, thank you. Greetings, thank you. I am delighted to be here with you. I'm Rabbi Michael Feshbach of Beth Israel in Northfield. I want to thank Jessica and Deb for the invitation to be with you, and I hope that while I'm going to start out in a comfortable place, we may stray into uncomfortable territory, and I hope I'll be welcome back after I'm done. But I really am delighted to be with you for reasons which I hope will become clear in just a moment. Jessica and Deb asked for the title of these remarks about a month and a half ahead of time. I'm reminded of a debate amongst rabbis. Some of my rabbinic colleagues are very annoying, and they finish their high holiday sermons. The big Jewish high holidays are in the fall, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and there are some colleagues who we really want to do bad things to when they announce in June that they finished their high holiday sermons. But I have one colleague and friend who never starts his till early September. He says something always comes up. So as I had these remarks in my head and went to the bar mitzvah yesterday and then checked my phone when we got home last night, something always comes up. These are indeed trying times. I wish I had been with you on a different occasion. I wish I had been with you really in a different era. I wish I had been with you on October 6th, 2023. The world was earlier, the world was easier at that time. So as I said, comfort, but also discomfort. I want to begin by saying I feel very close to this community, to this faith tradition. It is the late 1990s. It is the very early days of the World Wide Web. I find myself taking my first ever online quiz. It is a quiz about which candidate you should vote for. Now, I am about to reveal my own personal political leanings, which party I am a member of. Remember, this is not an endorsement. This is just for the sake of a story. I don't want to violate your 501c3 status, or I do have a member of my congregation here, so I don't want to get in trouble with her, in addition to my wife being here. I am wearing a blue shirt. Took a minute. In the 1990s, I'm not even sure we used the terms blue and red yet. But I took this quiz, and I knew who I was going to vote for, but I took a quiz and it lined me up. It told me I should be voting in the primaries for a very tall senator from a state I did not yet live in, who had once been a professional basketball player. And I was inclined to vote for this person based on, I answered questions and it lined up with my policy predictions, and I liked this person. And as it turned out, this very tall former basketball player, senator from an unnamed state, had purchased 99 additional copies of my father's book. My father was one of the world's leading scholars of the former Soviet Union, and this tall senator had bought 99 more copies of my father's book and given it to every other member of the Senate. So we felt close as a family to this other senator, and this quiz told me I should be voting for him, but I did vote for the person who eventually won the primary and won the 2000 presidential election by 1 million votes, but just didn't win the Electoral College. Okay, so that revealed which political party I lean to, which is not the point of the story. Because out of the corner of my eye as I'm signing off, I see something which is, I guess, one of the first pieces of clickbait I've ever fallen for. It said, "Finding your faith." So I click on that, And it does the same thing as it did with political candidates. It has you answer a series of questions, and then it's going to tell you what faith tradition you should be part of. So I decide to be honest. Big mistake. So I answer the questions honestly. And it ranks me 6th for Reform Judaism. And 2nd for neo-pagan Hinduism. Why do I feel close to you? I was ranked 1st for Unitarian Universalism. But here's the problem. This was a quiz which asked only about beliefs about doctrine and asked nothing at all about community. And Judaism is a tradition which gives intellectual a very wide range of freedom of belief. I mean, I suppose there are things you can believe in that would make it odd to be Jewish, but the very wide range of freedom of belief. And on the other hand, places a high premium on community. And so I'm worried about young, like high school seniors going off to college, taking a quiz like this, and saying, oh, it's going to rank them with Hinduism, or it's going to rank them with this, or rank them with that, and they'll think they'll go, because Judaism gives a freedom of belief, but places and it asked no questions at all about the importance of community. We are about ethics, but we are also an ethnic tradition. We are about the universal, but we are also a particular people. Believe me, I know, we're very particular. You know the phrase, 2 Jews, 3 opinions? We are an ethic, but we are also an ethnic. So an example of this balance between the universal and the particular, you can take a sentence in French, a sentence in English, a sentence in Swahili, a sentence in Urdu, a sentence in Russian, a sentence in Chinese, a sentence in many different languages, and put them together in a paragraph. And you can have a beautiful collage of human language and a celebration of the diversity of human tongues. What you won't have is a coherent paragraph. Context, culture, thickness, resonance counts. It matters. We reveal ourselves in our particularity. There was once a line in a prayer book, a former prayer book of my Reform movement of Judaism, which said, I could no more be spiritual without somehow expressing it through a particular religious tradition than I could speak without using a particular language. There are times when all of us want to explore. There have been some of the most meaningful spiritual moments of my life when I have gone, by the way, I learned things this morning. Every time I am in the setting of another faith tradition, I take something positive away from it. I have one complaint, which you'll hear in a minute. Sorry. I've learned powerfully and deeply and brought some things back with me always. It's like, you want to look at the full map. There are many different pathways to God, and I appreciate them. But we all sort of, know our own path as well. A story. A rabbi in a synagogue that's blessed to have a preschool. Happens to be a true story, by the way. I'm not sure the things happened in the order that I'm going to tell them, but basically this is a true story. At the beginning of the year, decides to bring the kids into the sanctuary, to give them a tour of the sanctuary. And he decides to save the contents of the ark in which are housed the Torah scrolls for last. And he's talking, and as rabbis do, and I still need a few more minutes, so I hope I have a few more minutes. He saved the contents of the ark for last, but unfortunately, like priests and ministers and rabbis, he talked for a really long time. And so there in the back of the room, he sees the parents are about to come and pick up the kid, right? So he says, okay, boys and girls, instead of rushing through the contents next week, we'll meet again and I'll show you what's behind the curtain. That particular ark, when you opened it up, also had a curtain that you had to put. And what he didn't know is that this abrupt ending would spark a big debate amongst little people. What's behind the curtain? One kid, obviously an aficionado of far too much American consumer, the kid's parents let them watch too much TV, said, when the rabbi opens the curtain next week, behind the curtain will be a brand new car. This is a true story. Another kid, a budding nihilist, a future scholar of Dostoevsky or Nietzsche, said, when the rabbi opened the curtain, there's nothing there. Third kid, she'd been to Tat Shabbat, so she said, oh, there's going to be the Torah scrolls. A fourth kid gave an answer that has affected my life, and even though I'm not this rabbi, I stole this story for the name of my column for one of my blogs, and it says, this kid said, when the rabbi opens the ark next week, inside will be a giant mirror. We have a scripture. For Jews, it's called a Torah. When we look into it, we may or may not learn about the past. But because we consider it sacred, it's not because of its history, it's because it's our story. And so when we see somebody reacting to the Bible, we learn about them. When we look into the sacred scripture, we learn about ourselves. It reveals ourselves. If I had much more time, I could give you examples, but I want to get on to my final point, which is the uncomfortable part. We stand not only in the universal that binds us together as human beings, but we also stand revealed in who we are in our particular people, who we are in our differences. I wish it was October 6th, 2023. Ever since then, it's been particularly painful for the world. And Jews are just like everybody else, only more so. So, if you have not already done so, I don't agree with all of it. Some of it will make you really uncomfortable, but if you have not done so, please go on Amazon Prime and watch the documentary called October 8th. There are a couple people in it that I think are too right-wing for my own taste, but please watch it. I have found myself agreeing with people I agree with about nothing else politically and disagree. My own ally. I'm terrified and relieved right now. I'm comfortable with you, and I'm uncomfortable. I'm worried, and I'm relieved. I share the "and" from earlier. But you said a prayer earlier for the people of Iran, and you didn't add the people of Israel. It's like saying a prayer for the people of Gaza, and not praying for the return of the hostages, which, please God, I hope you haven't done that here. Because if you've done that here, I don't feel safe. If you've done that here, this is not a place where I or somebody like me can feel safe. Morality implicates impact of our behavior, of course. If you said a prayer for the people of Gaza, especially the innocent, especially the children, I would share that prayer. I agree with that prayer. I think that starving an entire population, by the way, is immoral. Took me long enough to get there, but I believe that. So do some of the former prime ministers of Israel. So do some of the leading rabbis in this country. That war has gone on for too long. You should know, by the way, that at this point, between 65 and 75% of Israeli Jews agree with that position as well. 85 to 90% of Israeli Jews agree with Israel's actions over the past 2 weeks. Some of those are very progressive who would agree with you about everything else. So my plea to you, before you jump to conclusions, is at least ask the question, what do Israeli progressives, forget the Israeli ultra-right, okay? I don't have almost anything in common with them either. But at least ask yourself the question, what are Israeli progressives saying? At least ask that question. Because if morality implicates impact of our actions, surely it also includes an analysis of intent. And by an analysis of intent, if Hamas, if Hezbollah, if Iran had their way, without Iron Dome, without a vigorous defense. I went to Haverford College. I know a lot of Quakers. I know a lot of pacifists. But I know what would happen. We're not talking about dozens of dead. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dead Jews. I hear you. I share your prayers. But please, if you're going to be universal, be universal. And this is not so simple. I want to say something truly shocking, because I don't like him either. I think he's a threat to democracy. I'm not talking about an American, although that too. There are no laws that govern what I can say from a synagogue or church pulpit about Israeli politicians. I am deeply, deeply not happy with the Prime Minister of Israel. I felt that way for many years. I'm totally unhappy with him. I don't like him at all. I want to ask you a shocking question. I don't like Benjamin Netanyahu at all. If you had to have a choice, and you could have as a next-door neighbor Yahya Sinwar, Ayatollah Khomeini, or Benjamin Netanyahu, if you were honest with yourselves, you would pick Netanyahu also, whether you liked him or not. And I don't like him. But if you were honest with yourselves about who you would want as a next-door neighbor, you'd pick Netanyahu too, like him or not. Let's all pray that we find a way to peace. The complex work of finally being able to listen to each other means that we have to be able to hold. You said the word, and. At noon today, if I can, I'm going to listen to my friend Yossi Klein Halevi, who started out very right-wing and he's so centrist, it's like, Yossi Klein Halevi is doing a podcast later at noon, and he wrote a book called Letters to My Palestinian Neighbor. It's almost outdated by October 7th, but if you read one book on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, please read that book. It's short, it's readable. And it really sort of states the Jewish case, but opens up and invites a response and says, I know you have your narrative too, and that's what you were pleading for. That was you, right? Well, Jess. That's what Jess was pleading for. That's what we need more of. We need to be able to hear each other, hold each other. That prayer, I need a copy of that prayer about wholeness and healing, because I need to bring that with me from this tradition back into mine. I am comfortable here. I hope after the words I've shared with you, you'll still let me back. This is a holy place. This is a holy space. Let's hold all of us. Let's make it a safe space for everyone. God bless all of us. Thank you all.